Kenyans are getting to a breaking point. Because when you cannot afford basic necessities, you are the verge of breaking point. So you should not be surprised. He should not be surprised because he is eating cake in State House. Mwananchi cannot even afford bread because the price of bread has increased. They even want to put taxes on basic things like milk. On this one, it's a total failed mission. And I can tell you, it's going to hurt Raila's candidature. So I don't know whether he did it intentionally or unknowingly. I don't know. But for a president to make such a blunder, I mean, it's ridiculous.
What do you mean? We've talked about corruption since.
Come on, Jed.
Everyone says we'll stop corruption.
You're just being like a Kenyan.
Tell me, because every single day we talk about corruption.
You're being like a Kenyan. What gives him the idea that he can do as he wishes? This is not his personal house. This is not for going. I think the president needs to stop being simplistic.
Is there a vacuum post-Raila?
Play one clip where Ruto has spoken truthfully.
A very good day to you and welcome to Philip Kisia Unscripted this particular Thursday. My name is Jadiel Kabiro here for conversations to shape our policy and political decisions. My conversations are with Philip Kisia, leadership and governance expert. Former Nairobi town clerk is here with me a week after the Easter. How are you doing, Kisia? How was Easter for you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well.
Yes.
Jed, I had a very long Easter. I traveled all the way to Nanyuki to attend something Yukikuis called Idemba. You know Idemba?
What's Idemba?
Oh my God.
Idemba.
Idemba is a ceremony that is held for a young lad after going through initiation, circumcision. So you hold that ceremony for him. It's like a graduation ceremony. In Kitirik, we call it Hualoha. You know, so I attended and I happened to be the chairman of that Rika group.
Oh, nice.
So I spent my Saturday there. On Sunday I traveled to Machakos to attend another function. So I had a busy Easter holiday.
Okay, and as you were busy with Easter, the country has also been busy both in politics and in governance. What highlights have you seen this week, even before we talk about our conversation, which is about the economy?
Jed, something that has really caught my attention this week is my friend and president's visit to Ghana to visit his counterpart, President Nana, whose term is ending this year, end of this year. You know, Nana has been at the helm for some time. He's leaving office, but I don't think his rating is very high. His rating seems to have dwindled, just like the ratings for His Excellency President Ruto has dwindled in the last 18 months. So he's not leaving office at a high, he's leaving office at a low. And, you know, I was wondering, why was my president and my friend making this important trip to Ghana? Yes, somebody's about to leave office. Then I called a friend of mine. She's a top diplomat. She has served this country in very many capacities, and we had a very long conversation about this matter. You see, what comes out, what is panning out, is that we seem to have exchanged votes. I went to Ghana and said, we'll support you for the Commonwealth SG, which is happening. The elections are in October. And in return, you give us your vote in February for AU.
Okay.
Now, you see, that's a spoiled vote, because the Commonwealth elections are in October. Nana leaves office in actually hands over power, most likely to John Makama or any other person in January, I think January 7th. And you know, when there's a change of guard, there's a change of policy. And therefore, anything that Nana would have signed may not hold, may not hold water. Because the incoming administration, just like what Ruto did when he took over, he actually rubbished almost everything that his predecessor had done.
So
we are likely to face that situation. So what will happen is that even if Kenya supports the candidature of, I think she's called Shale, even if Kenya supports Nana's candidate for Commonwealth, I doubt whether it will have an impact, because from what I gather from my friend who has been a top diplomat, is that she doesn't seem to have support from SADC. Okay? So if you don't have support from your bloc, are you likely to get support from other blocs? That's one. Number one. Number two is the issue of Lesotho. Lesotho seems to have a lot of backing from SADC. So the chances are that we'll also lose that Lesotho vote, because now we are supporting Ghana's candidate against Lesotho. So we lose Lesotho vote, and most likely we lose the SADC vote. Don't forget that we don't seem to be sitting pretty with Nigeria. And you see, I think the understanding was that the West, and I think North, and to some extent South, have had this thing for too long. So for the first time in many years, can we support East for AU and leave Commonwealth for SADC countries, and therefore Lesotho? So I don't know what informed President Ruto decision to support a failed mission. Because this is, you see, this trip has added zero value. It has actually subtracted from what we had. Okay? We probably had the support of SADC. Now that one is, we're not sitting pretty. We had support of Lesotho. That one is going. And now, even if, so we lose. We are just losers.
In simple terms,
in simple terms, we are losers. I mean, I don't know who advised Ruto to make such a blunder. When you really should be getting people, to support the candidate that you're presumably supporting. I mean, from what we hear, what we see, President Ruto has publicly declared that he's supporting our candidate, the Prime Minister Raila. But from his actions now, we are wondering whether he is just leading Raila into a slaughterhouse. I mean, how can you make such a blunder? You have intelligence, they could have briefed you. You have people in the ministry who have sound knowledge in matters to do with diplomacy. You have people who have served in this country before in foreign service. You can consult. But this is a government that doesn't consult anybody. They think they know it. But I can tell you this trip has added nothing to the candidature of, as a matter of fact, it has actually subtracted. So it is a lost mission.
Your highlight for this week, you're saying Raila Odinga should watch how Ruto is campaigning for him. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, you see, I mean, a president is not like you and me. He receives briefs, and he has so many, people at his disposal who can advise. Apart from National Intelligence Services, we have very experienced people who have served in diplomatic missions. He could have consulted. This is a blunder. You've lost an entire block just because of for selfish reasons. You're supporting a candidate who does not have support from his own base, the SADC. Then what have you done to Raila? You've exposed him. And I don't think we're sitting very pretty with Nigeria. So what has this? And you see, I can tell you,
even with Obasanjo,
we were trying to monitor.
You're saying Nigeria, but we have Obasanjo.
Yeah, Obasanjo is not in power. He's still respected, but the president and the government, current government, will make his own decision. But you see, if really Ruto meant well, he should consult before making certain approaches. On this one, it's a total failed mission, and I can tell you it's going to hurt Raila's candidature. So I don't know whether he did it intentionally or unknowingly. I don't know. But for a president to make such a blunder, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Let's get into a conversation for today. State of the economy. Are things becoming worse or better? We're taking a look at this clip that has been circulating online by Peter Doyle, who is a former senior economist at the International Monetary Fund, IMF. He's raising concerns of a heavy taxation here in the country. Kisia, I don't know if you've seen that video, but he's saying what IMF is doing is setting unrealistic revenue targets for Kenya, and this is why we're looking at taxation the way it is. And therefore he's saying the best thing that we can do as a country is to look at our economic structure, and even if it goes to defaulting, so that we can restructure ourselves. Maybe that is what we need to look at. Let's watch this clip, come back, talk about the state of the economy.
Other countries which are not doing debt restructuring but are in programs, I'm going to quote the case of Kenya. Kenya's tried very hard to avoid a default, but in so doing, the IMF has steadily increased the medium-term primary balance target that Kenya has to hit, which is why every Kenyan tax is going up and up and up. It's now at the point, according to this analysis, where I would say Kenya is on the cusp where the right thing for it to do is default and to go into a restructuring to get its medium-term done. There's a big celebration that Kenya managed to refinance its bonds recently. Yay, we avoided a default. At this price. The price is not the interest rate that you had to pay, which was very high, on that refinance Eurobond. It's also the fact that you have accepted that your medium-term primary balance target is now above the band, compromising Kenya's medium-term growth.
Now, according to Doyle, Kisi, you listen to that clip, he's saying Kenya is facing a lot of pressure from IMF. We've seen since President William Ruto took over office, there's the doubling of VAT, there's implementation of the 1% housing levy, there's tripling of income tax, among others, in the Finance Act of 2023. What is your take first from these IMF-imposed targets, and how does it affect us as ordinary wananchis?
I think even before we talk about how it is affecting these targets that have been set, unrealistic targets have been set for Kenya. I think the pronouncements made by Peter Doyle, who is a former senior top-ranking official of IMF, should not be taken lightly. He has been an insider, and what he's basically telling us in plain terms, in plain, simple language, is that you're being led to the slaughterhouse, like Ghana and other people have been led to slaughterhouses. Okay? So he sent you a warning shot. And if this government was a listening and caring government, they would take that advice, which has been given for free, a bit more seriously. Okay? Because coming from an insider, and he's telling you, from what I can see, the moves that are being made by IMF, for example, giving you money with conditions, knowing very well that you cannot meet those conditions. Okay? And even if you ended up meeting them, you will hurt your citizens so badly that the government will become so unpopular. And if you don't take care, they can easily revolt against your government. Okay? So this government is, I mean, please take this advice a bit, don't take it casually. Because this man has nothing to lose. I think he's just being sympathetic to a regime that doesn't seem to be very focused in matters to do with finance. So take free advice. But let's get back to the effects that are likely to face this great nation of ours.
Yes.
And we're already facing it. You're already seeing it, Jadiel. You live in this country. Just look at the stock market, Nairobi Stock Exchange market. What is happening there? How many companies have pulled out from the stock exchange from the time President Ruto took over? How many companies have left Kenya, relocated? Why are they relocating? Why is the stock exchange not performing so well? It is simple. That the tax regime of this, the tax regime that has been imposed by this Kenya Kwanza regime is unfavorable, is unpredictable, that every morning you wake up, there's a new tax regime. You wake up, there's something on tax. And the measures are not meant to support business. They are meant to hurt business. So we have already seen the signs. They are all written on the wall. It is already happening. The other thing that is, again, you've seen, and I'm sure you're seeing it yourself.
Yeah.
Disposable income. I am sure you're feeling it because all Kenyans are feeling it, other than President William Ruto and his cabinet and his cronies. All Kenyans are feeling it. Whether you voted for this government or you didn't vote for it, we are all feeling the effects. That money that we have at our disposal to spend has diminished, has shrunk. And if you don't have money to spend, what happens to the people who are producing? The companies that are producing goods and services. They have no customers. It is as simple as that. And if that is happening to those companies and their revenues decline, tax collection will decline, those companies profits will decline, they will end up closing or moving to a different area, jurisdiction where taxes are favorable.
I want to ask you something on that because we are seeing a lot of Kenyans complaining about the belts, the shoes. Recently was President William Ruto's sunglasses. Is it simply because we don't have that disposable income so that when we see someone with something new, tunaona sisi wote?
You see, I'm sure you know about Maslow, hierarchy of needs. Kenyans are not there. The Kenyans are just look at the basic, shelter, housing, and food. Him is beyond that one. He's reached the peak. Yeah? He has everything. That's why when you are fighting to have the basics, him, his cronies and family members and cabinet and top-ranking officials can afford luxury. So it is not that Kenyans don't want them to have luxury, but what they're saying is also think about us who cannot afford basic necessities. It is as simple as that. That Kenyans can't afford it. You're the one who can afford luxury. Kenyans are living in pain. So these simple economics matters, which just need good policies to cure. And I can tell you, Jadiel, we have brilliant fellows at Treasury. Some of those fellows actually leave Treasury and go and work for other nations. Some of those fellows at Treasury go and work for IMF and World Bank. So it's not that we don't lack expertise. We have expertise. But we have a regime that is being led by a leadership that doesn't care or doesn't bother to consult. If he was consulting, it would not be such a mess. And I can tell you, for free, Jed, Kenyans are getting to a breaking point. Because when you cannot afford basic necessities, you are the verge of breaking point. So you should not be surprised. He should not be surprised because he is eating cake in State House. Mwananchi cannot even afford bread because the price of bread has increased. They even want to put taxes on basic things like milk, to add taxes on basic things like milk and bread. I mean, is there a regime that cares about the hustler? Definitely not. So what President Ruto should be doing, and I'm sure if he asks for advice from Treasury, they will tell him, no, listen, Your Excellency, we can collect money for you. What we just need is allow us to broaden the tax bracket. We'll collect more money. Because 100% of zero is?
Zero.
If you have nobody to collect taxes from, where will you get the taxes? But if everybody is doing well, and you broaden, because what you need to just broaden the tax bracket, you collect more money.
Okay.
If Mwananchi are doing well, you will collect money through consumption, through indirect taxes. Mwananchi will be able to consume bread, milk, And from there, you'll get to your taxes. But if Mwananchi cannot, consume, what happens to indirect taxation? The taxes will come down. Okay. So these are basic things that my president and friend needs to look at.
And that is how we've been affected. But when you look at the shilling, Kisia, you look at the shilling, the way it has gained against the dollar. We're now trading at 132 Kenya shillings against $1. And you ask yourself, what is Kisia saying? Aren't we doing well? Or should we feel it at our pocket first? But even as you tell me that, maybe you can also tell me, because the shilling has strengthened because of our Eurobond repayment taken to 2031, and we've also seen that we took another bond of $1.5 billion to service the previous one of $2 billion. How do we stabilize the shilling without relying on borrowing?
I've just seen a message, a communique issued by my good friend, the governor of Central Bank, saying that shilling is gaining. But why can't they be honest and tell us that the shilling is gaining because of 1, 2, 3, that tourists have increased, therefore tourist earnings have gone up substantially by 30-40%, that our imports have reduced by 30% because in the last 18 months, President Ruto has done very well, that manufacturing and the industries in Kenya have actually improving production. They're even producing products that were being imported, like toothpicks, like toothpaste, all those things that we're importing that consume our foreign exchange. What has informed the gain of the shilling against the dollar? What has informed?
Yeah.
Or are we importing less crude oil because now we've gone green? They must tell us what are these fundamental issues that have informed the gain of the shilling against the dollar. I can tell you for free, one of the things that has assisted the shilling, gaining of the shilling against the dollar, is the fact that there's been an influx of foreign exchange from the same partners, lenders, okay?
Yeah.
So in short term, of course, that will shock the shilling. Billions of dollars coming through.
Yes.
We are not starving anymore from dollars because we have excess liquidity in terms of dollars. But for how long can you sustain it? This is just manipulation. And manipulation cannot last for long. There is no fundamental reason that supports the gain of shilling against the dollar. So it is short term. We are getting more money. I think I've just seen again.
Yes.
There's another IMF, World Bank IMF, putting in another, by end of the month, putting another 350 billion shillings. So, of course, when you are getting money that you probably will not use immediately, it will last for 3, 4, 5 months, and we'll get back to where. And then finally, on that particular issue, Jed, okay? When it's not very clever. When you go to, first of all, when you go to the bank to borrow heavily, even to pay salaries, operational expenses.
Yes.
When you borrow so heavily and you can't repay, but the bank, there's no bank that is friendly to you. There's no bank that feels mercy to anybody. There's no bank. Banks are there to do business. Banks are owned, they have shareholders.
So World Bank is not our friend.
It can never be your friend. They have shareholders. Their shareholders will ask them at the end of the year. There's nothing like assisting Kenya. It is doing business with Kenya at very, very exorbitant rates. So these characters, they have seen some cartoons who cannot think very seriously. They have said, okay, we'll cushion you by giving you another loan to pay off the loan you have, but at a higher interest rate. Is that a clever thing to do? That one even a kindergarten child would have done, I can tell you for free.
Yeah.
But I think let's probably look at issues of default.
But before we get into default, I would want to know at what point, where is our breaking point? Because we are stabilizing and stabilizing and stabilizing our shilling with more debt and more debt and more debt. Is this where now we're going to default?
You see, how can you say you're stabilizing when you're using a borrowed shirt? When the owner comes for the shirt, you'll be naked.
Let's go back to Peter Dale. That one is, you've answered it within a second. But he says we risk defaulting. We've seen defaulting. Let's take the case study of Ghana. Let's talk about Zambia. You look at Ethiopia. They've all defaulted in their debts. They go ahead and try to restructure. That is what is happening in Zambia. Now they're coming out. I think their currency is also stabilizing. What is the risk of Kenya defaulting in 2031 when we can't pay our Eurobond?
And you know, and I pray, this way I pray, not that, you know, he may be my choice, but I pray that he's re-elected so that he can face the music in 2031. Because, see, the repayments has, you know, it is cleverly structured in a way that, you know, there'll be no destabilization between now and 2030.
Yes.
Or 2027. So 2031. So I'm just praying that that he is re-elected so that he actually is forced to pay back this money before he leaves office in second term. Because if he doesn't, then we must take him to the slaughterhouse. Okay? But you asked me about the effects of defaulting.
Yes.
You know, when you default on a bank loan, it's very untidy. First of all, who has confidence in you? People run away from you because you're a defaulter.
Oh.
So, you can imagine, even other banks, you know, World Bank is a bank of a bank of banks.
Yeah.
That is your last resort. Now, when you go there and you default, do you even think these are the banks who, you know, mirror? Oh, no, they don't mirror, but they look at World Bank for decision making. Will even touch you? So, you know, it is. You know, we are getting into a very, very serious corner. That there'll be a decrease in confidence by any lending partner. There will be a decrease in confidence from even people who want to come and invest here. Because, see, when you cannot repay your loans, it means that you don't have dollars to pay. You don't have money. Now, how will you attract those guys who are coming to invest here? Because they must repatriate their profits. And when your economy is declining, the inflation rate is high, which is likely to happen to Kenya. Yeah? Do you think these people come and invest here? So it will have a serious effect on even future investors. And then, of course, immediately that happens and you start defaulting, any other lender, including that guy called World Bank, if they ever lend you money, if they attempt to lend you money, it will be at a very, very exorbitant interest rate. Because you are a defaulter. You are high risk. Who wants to put money, to put good money where, you know,
it might not come back.
It may not even come back. If it comes back, you're forced to get into litigation. And, you know, so this is not something that we are praying it happens, because what will subsequently follow, things like devaluation of our currency, will be forced to now start carrying money in sacks. Yeah, maybe now bread, instead of it's now about 120 bob.
Yes,
we'll probably be buying for 2,000 bob, and you can imagine the mess that we are getting into. So
we should not get there.
I'm hoping that that those in Treasury will be given time and space to do their job, not for political expediency, but to do a job as they were trained to do a job for this country.
I want us to talk about now this pressure that we are getting from IMF. Peter Dale calls it unrealistic revenue targets. and we are forced to impose high taxation, how can our leaders, how can President William Ruto look at this pressure that we're getting to impose taxes, but still lessen the burden for Kenyans so that you can be able to balance what IMF is telling you and still make Kenyans have this disposable income, afford, their daily lives?
You see, there are quick measures that President Ruto can put into place. Number one is to look at what the predecessors were doing. Their programs, because the programs are never programs of the president. The programs are actually envisioned in Vision 2030. That's where we draw everything from. Maybe Uhuru took a huge bite of the pie, okay, and that's why we're paying. So what Ruto, if he was a smart guy, he should review what maybe Kibaki had started doing, what was pending, what Uhuru has started doing, what is pending, reprogram. So look at those programs that were rolled out. Don't start saying, okay, these programs were Uhuru's, so I should set them aside and start new projects. That is how you can stabilize the economy. By running, remember Jed, I've talked about the zero approach mentality to management.
Yes.
Never start at zero because it's painful. There are things that were going on. Continue them. The programs that are good, maybe the ones that are not properly executed, now you have time to execute them, in a better way, in a better fashion. Now, the other thing is these regional blocks that we have, economic blocks. Each region is based in Kenya, is actually blessed by God with certain resources. Can we now start investing in these blocks? Can we be intentional about investing in regional blocks? Let's stop politics, okay? One way of removing pressure from the national government is by making sure that the regional blocks can support themselves so that they remove this dependency on the national government. But when you make sure that they don't function for political expediency, that they should not work, so that they can come with a begging ball to your doorsteps, so that you can continue dishing them small.
That is what you think happens?
Yes.
You ensure they do not function?
We know, we need to make sure. You see, when governors are begging even what is rightfully theirs, they are saying that the Constitution is very clear, 15% of the previous auditor accounts.
Yes.
Give it to them. They are not even getting, they are getting short. What I'm saying is, can we even give them more resources? Can we make sure that we try and help them to build capacity where God has allowed them? If, for example, the Western Bloc is good in agriculture, can we make sure that we heavily invest in agriculture in Western Province, Western Kenya, Nyanza, and so on and so forth, so that we become food sufficient, so that we don't have to import food? Central Kenya is blessed with something, and northern, every part of this country has a blessing. So we must stop dependency, this dependency of the regional or counties, over depending on the national, because then the resources are not even there. Okay, so if you grow the economies in the blocks or in the counties, there's less pressure on. There's more taxes coming up from the blocks. There's less pressure in terms of demanding for resources, and so on and so forth. Then, of course, physical discipline. These roadside pronouncements, attempting to carry out programs that have not been budgeted for, going out of the budget space, or overspending on certain projects. We budgeted X. Please make sure that that project is rolled out within budget in terms of money, within time. Okay? So don't start making, I think President Ruto is still using the old constitution where people went to the president and said, okay, this road, from my village, let me use my village, from Chamahoho to Senede, Niza, Nabu, you need to do all it.
Yes.
Yet it has no economic value. You say, because of politics, you say, yeah, hiyo mutengeleze. Is it of any economic benefit? No. Is it going to benefit the people, benefit the country? No. So I think the issue of physical discipline and working within means, your means, is important. Finally, the issue of corruption. Can we, for once, be intentional about dealing with corruption? There's a lot of wastage. And even the previous administration, Uhuru, publicly admitted that we lose 2 billion shillings daily through corruption. William Ruto was part of that administration. What has he done just to seal that loophole? Do you know, Jed, if we were able to seal that loophole, we can finance the budget deficit. We already have 700 billion on the table. Without even, do you need a clever fellow to tell you this?
Yeah.
You just need a man at the top who is intentional, like Philip Kisia maybe. Just be intentional. Yeah, just make a decision that you are going to stop corruption in this country.
What does it take, though? What does it take to stop corruption?
What do you mean?
We've talked about corruption since.
Come on, Jed.
Everyone says we'll stop corruption.
You're just being like a Kenyan.
Tell me what?
You
because
being,
every single day
Jed,
we talk about
you're
corruption.
Being like a Kenyan. What stops you from stopping corruption? It is you, because you're corrupt. You don't have the guts. You see, if, for example, a road project of 100, say 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers, is supposed to cost, by any standards, a good road, by your own standards, supposed to cost, say, let's say, 20 billion shillings. Why would it end up costing 30 billion? Is that rocket science? Obviously, you should ask yourself at the top, if it is 20 billion, why has it gone to 30? That 10 billion has definitely gone to people's pockets. So your question was, how can you stop? It is very simple. Allow the institutions which are mandated by the Constitution to function. Don't interfere with the Auditor General when he's auditing your books, because your cronies could be found. Don't. It's an independent office. Let them do their job. Don't try and micromanage Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Don't. Let them do their job. If your friend, if your family member is caught in corruption, let them face the full wrath of the law. Why would you want to interfere? So it is simple. Allow independent officers to work for you, and this thing that you're calling corruption, and then don't attempt to manage the judiciary. Don't, for heaven's sake, because that's what he's attempting to do. That I'll give you 5% or 4% of budget. You can't give, it's not your money. Your job is to make sure that your job is actually to make sure that these independent bodies, that other arms of government are funded. This is not your personal money. This is public money. You are only there for the time being to make sure things happen.
So you think from the top we don't have...
there's no goodwill. There's no goodwill.
Then
there are so many things that have happened that up to now, they think we've forgotten. Edible oil. What happened? What happened?
Nothing.
What happened?
You go to fertilizer.
Go to fertilizer.
You go to EACC's reports.
No, go to fertilizer. What is happening?
Now, what is
they want to pretend that nothing has happened. They want us to keep quiet. They think we forgot. We are not forgetting. This is not their personal money.
What does the future hold? We're having a lot of taxation. We're having a lot of accumulation of debt. We're seeing a lot of money coming in. But our economy is just as it was before. Things are getting more expensive despite our dollar becoming stabilizing. What does the future hold for our economy, Philip Kisia, as we wind up?
There are certain measures that we can quickly put into place. Okay? Of course, I've talked about independent bodies being left to work. That's the first thing that you must do. Allow them just to work. Okay? Allow them to work for you. The other thing that this administration has been trying to do is to muzzle the media. Allow the media to do their job. The media, they're the ones who scrutinize. And because they cannot reach you, they report
To the public.
to the public. Because they probably cannot get to, they know they will not get to you. Because their job actually is to inform the public. So allow the media to do its work of scrutinizing your work, your budget, and corruption. Okay? Because they're only helping you. They are asking you to take action. But if you muzzle them and you say, okay, you retaliate by starving them with advertisement, it is so stupid. Because it's not even your money. How can you now decide how the public money will be spent? That I'll give this media house money, I'll not give this media house money because they're not supporting. The role of media is to support you by reporting corruption, by reporting unscrupulous, by reporting what is ailing your government. Okay? Then, of course, the other thing that this government runs away from, which can help because they're using borrowed money. When you have a population that is well informed through civic education, just make sure that they're well informed. These guys will help you. They will understand you quickly. They will, you'll be on the same page, because when you starve them of information, then they go to social media, they pick up information. Some of the information may be right, some may be wrong. But when you have a well-educated population, okay, they know what is right, what is wrong, they make the right decisions, it makes your work very, very easy. Finally, the issue of automation, which he has, he's attempted to do. Of course, obviously, when you see these people rushing to do certain things, they think very small. They are thinking about the commissions that derive from those projects. Yeah. So look at the bigger picture, that if you automate, we'll be efficient, we'll be effective, we'll collect more money. This more money will reduce our loans. That, it will give me, I'll have more nights, comfortable nights. Now the man has sleepless nights because he has no money. He has to keep on begging. So let him apply technology and introduce technology, not for the purposes of people making some small little commission. That way he will not leave a legacy. He will leave a legacy by making sure that automation works, and it works for all of us.
What are the potential damages or the consequences of Ruto not listening to what you said today? If things continue...
If things continue this way, revolt and death sentence.
Thank you for tuning in to Philip Kisia Unscripted. State of the economy, revolt and death sentences if things continue as they are. Maybe Philip Kisia, you can tell Kenyans one last thing as we wind up today's Unscripted program.
Well, first of all, I want to tell Kenyans to always remember that the taxes collected are yours. You have a right to determine how those taxes will be spent. And this government is there to serve you, not to serve themselves. So, even when they borrow, we as Kenyans have a right to say we are stopping you from borrowing. Because you're not going to pay from your pockets. This is money that will be paid by Kenyans. In fact, will be paid by future generations, which makes it even worse. If it is money that you are borrowing and you are paying in this generation, I have no problem. But you are passing burden to future generations. Shame on you.
Shame on you. That is Philip Kisia for you. Until we talk again, have yourself a lovely rest of your day.
What gives him the idea that he can do as he wishes? This is not his personal house, this is not for going. I think the president needs to stop being simplistic.
Is there a vacuum post Raila?
Play one clip where Ruto has spoken truthfully.